Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we're going to be discussing Sony PS4's end of generation Endgame and the games that they have yet to release for this generation, and perhaps maybe some cross-generation games thrown in today. So we're going to get right into it. Joining me as always today is
Alex,
and my name is Luke, and let's get right into it. So Sony have around 5 to 6 games yet to release this gen. And we're going to start off with the first one. That we needed a little bit of a pick-me-up on this one, which was Concrete Genie, made from Pixel Opus, I believe. It's a new studio formed by Sony. It was shown in Paris Games Week, I believe, next year. And we didn't know too much about it. Completely forgot about it because we did watch the conference.
I'm sure they did like a PlayStation Direct on it as well.
Did they give an update, a little tiny update on one of them then?
You know the trailer we just watched? That's literally what I saw on the...
Yeah, well... the trailer we just watched recently to get a bit of an idea of what this game is, because we weren't aware of this at all, really. Although we did watch Paris Games Week, we must have been out of the room for that. It looks interesting. Another interesting, quirky game, very Media Molecule-esque in its style, and it seems to centre on around a young boy who finds a paintbrush and is given a task to breathe life into this area, this town, as he's gets bullied, and it looks like he befriends these creatures, and obviously there's a darkness to it as well. And I think the kids during some part of the trailer kind of chasing him around the town, wanting to get at him and stop him from doing this thing.
It's looking very psychological, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be more to this, although it looks not cheerful to a certain degree, and the art style makes it look colourful and pleasant on the eye. I think there's definitely going to be a serious undertone to this. There's going to be something that's going to take you for a little bit of a
tackling
ride.
Your demons.
Tackling your inner demons. Because as you see in the trailer, the kids are kind of picking on him, and then the tagline in that trailer is, create your own friends. So obviously you're going to create different creatures, marks, things for different tasks within the world, puzzles and different obstacles to manoeuvre the character around. And I think you said something about a game quite similar, Mickey's...
Yeah.
Was it on the Wii U or Wii?
They did it on the Wii, Xbox 360.
Kind of like painting
PS3.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember it myself personally. I
can't remember the title of it.
No, it was Mickey's something. And it was on those particular platforms. But it kind of did have a little bit of a vibe like that, where you were Mickey in that particular game, Mickey Mouse in that particular game, and you went around painting in the world and stuff like that. So it kind of maybe borrows an idea from that. But again...
I think it's done in a very different way, though, this.
Oh, yeah, this has definitely got a more serious
I'd say it's an adult game, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely got a more mature feel about it, and I think that it's interesting. So it's kind of like, you know, where we're going to go. It's got a release date of 2019, so it's coming this year, and it is exclusive to PlayStation, and this is what we're talking about today, their final games coming into the PlayStation 5's generation, and whether some of these games that we're going to talk about will be cross-platform, because there's obviously multi-platform games out there that will be cross-platform, either Cyberpunk, the next Dragon Age. I think there was a quote saying that the next Dragon Age 4 will be cross-platform, so there'll be, because it'd be pretty silly to ignore 100+ million players.
Exactly.
They did the same with just going on to Dragon Age, because we found out that I think that's going to be cross-platform. Dragon Age Inquisition was cross-platform at the time as well. So anyway, going back to Concrete Genie, not really sure about the pedigree of the studio either. I know I think it's a newly formed studio within their portfolio, first-party studio. So, interesting for you, your personal preference, that your type of game, or
it's not really my kind of game. It's a game I'll have a look at and definitely have a go on. But
do you think it's a full-price game?
I can't really decide. It's.
Do you think it's
It's definitely got a touch of indie
game
about it, hasn't it? But I don't know.
It's definitely got. I think it's a bigger studio than. Again, it's Pixel Opus. If you guys want to research that yourselves, because we only just found out about it today. We'd already researched the other games that we're going to talk about, and we just come across this one as a last minute thing. So we just quickly watched it before going live today, and so I watched it last year. So I must have watched this, and it must have been forgetful for me then. In terms of, that's not my sort of thing, but that is kind of my sort of thing. I do play these type of games, so I don't understand why this one flew over my head a little bit, because I just recently played What Remains of Edith Finch, again on PlayStation, and I love that game, and you can get that on PC and PlayStation as well, so I'm not sure about any other platforms on that.
I think there's a lot of games that are coming like this. I mean, like, going back a few now, you had Unravel,
Yeah.
and games like that are so beautiful in the background.
But there's a serious undertone.
And there's a serious undertone that brings you into the game, and I think
keeps
it's
you going through the game.
Kind of game, yeah.
I had that with Edith Finch and What Remains of Edith Carter and those type of games where they were very much a walking simulator, but with a story that kept you engaged at all times. Yeah. And I think this is going to be one where I hope, because they show you in the trailer and in the gameplay that there's these different objects you can create and different creatures you can create on the walls in the world, and everything looks beautiful and colourful, and they're following him around as he's running past the wall and stuff. And I hope there's more, there's obviously going to be a limited choice to these creatures. You're not going to be able to create anything you want, but it'll be interesting if they were to go that way.
Well, I'll tell you what interested me with it was that end shot with the demon in the street stalking him down. Yeah,
stalking him down.
How they're gonna play that, and how you're going to defeat that.
Yeah, because obviously he's not creating that.
No.
So there's someone else within that world that is creating those darker creatures to stop him.
How does that develop from there?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
So yeah, well, when we'll segue a little bit into a similar game, which is Dreams, which we know is from Media Molecule, which that game has been, I think, was announced in 2014. That game, and it's still not officially released. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to get a traditional release, Dreams. So again, these two games, they look artistically similar, but from two different studios. So again, we're talking about Dreams, and Dreams is a game where you get to create your own game within your own. The whole tagline, it's your dream up your game, create it within the world. And if you go on YouTube right now, there are people using this engine to create a Mario world, Mario game, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, Star Wars. They are fantastic, the people that are creating these games. So again, it's kind of like they're banking on these fantastical artistic game creators that are not there.
I don't think they're going to be allowed to share them though. Because
they can,
you've
because
got so many copyright infringements.
It's copyright, but because you're creating something that's your own creation and they change it differently, you can use it. So the rules are a little bit bent there a little bit. They will be able to use them because they won't be able to use the music and such like that. But obviously, if it's loosely based, but it's different, then I mean they must be able to get away with it because they have this with Little Big Planet. When Little Big Planet had its level creator, people were creating levels based off other games, and nothing really ever happened. As long as you don't sell it, I think you're all right. I think you're fine as long as you don't use it to sell the idea. But personally, not me, because I'm not that talented to go in there and use this particular this particular tool set of creating a game within a world, and they've kind of demoed it for the last 3 or 4 years, showing you how easy it is, but it still looks complicated to me. So we're old, so forgive us there. But I'm really interested in playing the game because I want to see what other people create. Because they did say they're gonna.
That's it, yeah. That's what I loved about Mario Maker.
Yeah,
getting other people's levels.
It's kind of like that, and I think Mario Maker was birthed from this. People might say, "Oh no, Mario," because this was announced in 2013. This game. The whole concept of this game was made in 2013 or very early 2014. It was shown in the first sizzle reel when the PS4 was shown off for the first time, this game. And it's still not officially released. And it's like in beta form.
I think, I was going to say it's in beta, isn't it?
It's in beta at the moment. Yeah. People have got their hands on it. And by all accounts, the reviews from the gaming critics and journalists are saying it's a fantastic thing to use. But it's not a game. It's a game creator, and I know they've said there will be levels for people to use and have within the game. So there's good. I think they did throw a trailer out there with a sort of noir-esque character set in the 50s or 30s. It's like a click and point adventure that's going to be built in with the game. There's like a teddy bear level world built in within the game. So Media Molecule themselves will make sure that there are levels out there for the people that buy this game when it does come out to play.
I don't think it'll be long before their servers get full, though, to be honest, mate.
Well,
it's a lot of people. I mean, I know it's a bit of a different concept, but with Forza when you had the car skins, it didn't take long for them to get filled up with stuff.
No, and there was some great decals.
Yeah, really nice.
That people created in Forza game.
I think that's a great little system.
I look, bringing people together in these type of games, it works. If this works, it's going to work. This could be phenomenal for Sony. Yeah. This could be their Mario Maker, as it were, real stellar system seller. Because if you've got people out there around the world that are talented enough to create Metal Gear Solid, the first game, just a few levels, but make it look brilliant and fun to play, people are going to buy that game and download those levels. I mean, there was a Jurassic Park level someone had built literally the whole entranceway with dinosaurs included.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, all these videos are on YouTube for you guys to check out and see for yourselves. And I think if they can get they've got to get the message across. And that's what they've struggled with the last 4 years, is getting this message across to say, yeah, it is a game, but it's a community game. And I think this is their... Do you remember PlayStation 3 had PlayStation Home?
Yeah.
Where they wanted everyone to not...
Yeah.
To go into this virtual world. And, yeah, I know. And this is what worries me about these type of games, when you're asking the community to create your own content.
I don't know, because when you see how successful Minecraft is, and the worlds that have been built into that.
Yeah, true,
incredible.
But Minecraft hasn't got the tool set this has. This is on another level. This is like, you can create a racing game, 3D adventure game, point-and-click game, platform game, even a fighting game. You can do anything within this tool set. Minecraft is very much, well, the tools are what you get. You build the tools, it's set in that particular...
But that's what I'm saying. There's people out there quite willing to put the time in to build
Christ,
these worlds.
Yeah.
That's
I agree with you. Yeah, definitely. Good point, yeah. And I think that, but this particular tool set is, not only can you change the graphics, there's different graphics and different everything. So it's exciting. It's not for me.
If it's got a 16-bit filter, I might spend a few hours in it.
I wonder how much this game has cost Sony.
Oh.
Because this has been going on now. I don't think it's had a huge marketing push, so I don't think the marketing bill is huge on this game.
I was going to say, if it's cost that much to develop...
But I wonder the development cost of this game and what Sony want to get out of it, because this is my only fear with Media Molecule going forward, is this game comes out this year fully. It's a £60, £50, £40 game, depending on where you are in the world. And it comes out to critical acclaim, but it's never been marketed. Other than E3, Paris Games Week, and a few other... It's not out, unless you're on YouTube on their own personal channel, hunting for this game. You don't know much about it. I haven't seen a TV advert for this game.
Well, I've seen nothing.
Nothing. Other than being reminded that it's coming through an E3 or a Gamescom or a Paris Games Week. Sony have not marketed this well at all. They've asked word of mouth, which is what they're going for. Play our game through people playing it now and creating levels and saying, this is an amazing experience. And that's all good and well, but this is my fear for Media Molecule a little bit. These could be the sacrificial lamb going into next generation for another studio. Because obviously, talking about Sony a little bit, is that they're looking to purchase new studios. Purchase outward, because they did it with Sucker Punch, they did it with Naughty Dog. They have a history of taking Guerrilla Games. They have a history of taking talented devs and putting them into their portfolio. They do create their own studios, but they do have a history of buying studios, and Jim Ryan was quite openly saying that we want to add to our portfolio of studios, and I think they've let Quantic Dream go.
Yeah,
they were only making one game a generation anyway, and they were good games. They weren't nothing. We discussed this last week's podcast. They weren't nothing amazing, these games, but critically, and they did always have a bit of controversy following them with the themes, the themes of their games. Were always a bit controversial in some people's eyes, not so much mine, because I can look at it more open-mindedly and look at it as a game rather than, I'm not going to take things too serious. But I wonder if Media Molecule could get the chop for the cost of this game, if this doesn't knock it out the ballpark.
Possibly.
It's a shame, because they're extremely talented over there.
Yeah.
And it's a UK-based studio as well, which would be, again, a shame.
It would depend what their remit is from Sony. If they meet that remit and the game doesn't do well, who is that on?
Well, this is it. What was the direction that Sony gave them? They must have said, we want a game.
Yeah.
And they've given them this create a tool set, basically. And I just wonder, because Microsoft did a similar thing with Project Spark, and that went a couple of years ago. Because, it didn't have the tool set that this has got, but it was a similar theory that is a creative tool set, do what you kind of like in it. And these games generally don't survive. And the only thing that sets this one apart is the tool set is phenomenal and quite intuitive. No release date. It's still in beta. I still think that's probably going to come to play. They won't not support that. It's going to come to the PlayStation 5 ecosystem as well.
I wonder if it will go free on the store. And then they'll add If you want this tool, $4.99. You
like
want
a PlayStation Plus service,
possibly
type thing. It's going to be free with PlayStation Plus. If you want these tools, like extra costumes, extra things, here's your DLC. I don't think they should do that. It's a terrible idea.
It's terrible.
Because that's death on arrival.
I think that's how they're going to do it.
For this type of game, you cannot limit the tool set for people to go and buy DLC. You have to have it open. So Sony, don't do something stupid with this game, because you'll kill it straight away if you start charging DLC for these maps. And
that's how the gaming world seems to be now, doesn't it?
Yeah. So again, two very similar looking games in terms of their art styles, and kind of like their so we got Concrete Genie with a release date of 2019. We got Dreams, which still says initial release date 2019. It's in beta. It's been in beta for a couple of months now, so it's close.
It might make Christmas.
Close. Yeah, it's close. And so there you go. So Dreams and Concrete Genie. You interested in Dreams personally, mate?
I'd probably wait. You know me, I usually wait anyway for a couple of months with new games, but I will give that time to let the servers fill up with content and things like that.
I think it's a good deal, because we obviously when I come back from America, there's going to be changes to the channel, and we're going to look to do all our gameplay on a Twitch channel going forward under a new name, just to give you guys a heads up that do watch us on a weekly basis, and we're hoping to have way more content. Everything will be on the camera first and foremost. We're going to do more. We're going to do everything will be face cam, the podcast and the gameplay sessions that we're going to do. We're just going to rebrand going forward. So there's a little bit of a heads up. We will put a trailer out there, a little bit of an introduction video to us as well, and our history with games. But that's for another time. That's just a little heads up for the future of this channel going forward. And we're going to get on to the next game, which, oh man, how do we talk about this one? Death Stranding. With a release date of November the 8th. This year, which surprised a lot of people. Didn't surprise me, because of the engine was there, ready to go. We discussed this previously.
I thought it may get put back for the PS5.
No, because if you were talking graphics, I always thought the graphics were this generation's graphics. When people, no, I just thought.
I didn't mean for graphics. I just thought it was going to go.
Yeah, for the type, the imagery and everything else he's trying to conjure up. I don't know where to start with this one. I really don't, because
I'm lost.
He's the same.
I'm lost with it.
Yeah,
mate.
It's the same thing with it. Metal Gear Solid. I could follow. It's out there because it's his vision. It's Hideo Kojima. Every game he makes always kind of makes sense, but it's like information overload.
Yeah.
He likes to put in your brain so many different scenarios, so many different ideologies, so many different sequences that you're just confused by the end of it. But it's confused in a good way, because one thing that we spoke about before about this game is this must have cost Sony a fortune, because the cast they have in this game: Norman Reedus, Léa Seydoux, Lindsay Wagner, Guillermo del Toro, Troy Baker. Am I missing anyone else? Norman Reedus. I said Norman Reedus, haven't I?
Yeah.
I mean, there's loads. There's plenty. Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, this cast is phenomenal, and it's not a quick in voiceover. This is a full-on, motion captured
yeah.
game.
So they've had to go in and work for the money.
They've gone and worked for these actors.
Definitely.
And these aren't your cheap actors. These are AAA style actors within the celebrity world, within the movie industry. And mate, what do you think of this game?
I don't know. I can't wrap my head on it.
Yeah, there's hell.
Yeah.
Welcome to Hades. Those that are stuck in Hades or connected to Hades, which is their version of hell.
See that going through that World War One? That looks stunning.
Yeah, I mean, you see him. I need to connect to that particular. Obviously, the camera, the way it cuts to him saying, "I need to connect to this world," and he uses some quote unquote a bridge baby, and he hates doing it to connect to this particular past.
Yeah. So
obviously, he's going into past scenarios, which is their version, I think, of like a purgatory, where they're stuck between worlds. I think I get that. I think it's like when he goes in, when he connects to this bridge baby, I think it's him going into like a purgatory, and he's trying to sever connections to the outside world, to the real world, because that's what's causing issues within the real world. So he's severing these connections, or his own personal connections to the real world. Mate, I'm lost. I had it with Metal Gear Solid 5 when he announced that, and you kind of like got this voiceover, and you're like. But when you played it, his games always tend to make sense, so I don't tend to worry about them that much. And he's in the top 3 of game creators ever, Hideo Kojima. He's so influential, and you know his game's going to be good. What worries me though is if it's that confusing. What do you reckon this is going to sell?
I think
do you
it'll
think
do
this
well.
is going to sell?
I think it'll do well, just because it is Kojima.
Everyone I watched, reaction channels, everyone has the same look on their face at the end of this. Is like, it's that pause when they just stare and look at the camera and go, what have I just watched? Yeah. But I'm excited.
Oh, it looks great.
You know, the gameplay, it's open world. It's the Decima engine from Guerrilla Games. So again, that's why I said I wasn't surprised this game was ready to go.
There's an amazing tool set to get around the map as well, with the rope propelling and
it looks
ladders and stuff like that are extendable out to get across things. It looks very much like you can go anywhere. Bit
Zelda Breath of the Wild-esque.
Yeah,
here's your sandbox. You're not traditionally forced into different areas, like go here to do a tower, go here to do this particular part of the map. A bit like Horizon, where it stuck to that formula of a lot of open world formula where it's connect a tower. Zelda did have that, but it had way more figure it out yourself moments in Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I think this is going to be a similar thing where you're going to use his Bridges. His name's something Bridges. Are you going to use his tool set to get around the world and figure it out? You know, there's rappelling, there's obviously climbing, there's all these other things. There is gameplay in that little trailer
as well.
You got the bike, and I've no doubt there's going to be other vehicles for you to use.
Yeah.
But the whole spectral visions and that, when he's in the forest and things like this, dragging him into the world, and I'm like, it's intriguing. It gets you excited to think about the possibilities with this game. I'm just worried that it's not niche. I don't want to say it's niche because it's Hideo Kojima and people know him from Metal Gear Solid. I'm thinking of Konami when he used to work with them. But I just it's not like another Dream situation where I worry for this game, because I still think it'll probably do 10 million plus, knowing this, because Sony are going to market the hell out of this come October, September in the summer. They're gonna see adverts everywhere for this, because they're banking on this. And I think this partnership going forward, because this is an exclusive game. It tells you in the trailer, Sony Interactive Entertainment presents. It's using the Decima engine, which is it's Sony owned. So this is not coming to any other platform, so you can forget that. Maybe future games from Hideo Kojima, because this is being developed with him. He's got his own production company, but I think the finances were taken care of from Sony. And I think most of these, if you look at the actors involved, they're all under Sony's umbrella. Mads Mikkelsen, Lea Seydoux, Lindsay Wagner, they've all got previous films under the Sony's cinema line. So these are actors they could easily bring in, because they're contracted under Sony as well. They've made films for Sony. Obviously, we know Lea Seydoux from James Bond, who Sony Pictures. So they've got her in to maybe do that, you know. So all these actors have worked with Sony before in their other entertainment branches. So this is definitely a Sony project. It's definitely a Sony exclusive going forward. It might come to PC actually, because Sony do sometimes put their stuff on PC, and if it doesn't sell well, which it could struggle a little bit getting that message of what type, because there is action sequences. You know, you've got an assault rifle there. He's through the trenches using it.
I don't think it'll struggle. It's a Sony exclusive. I think people will buy it.
Yeah,
like you said, just because it is Kojima.
They're on a roll with their exclusives as well, Sony, at the moment. Everyone seems to be, even if they're not reviewed well, they sell exceptionally well. Days Gone was reviewed good. I enjoyed the game. I think I'm about 3/4 through it at the moment. On my second playthrough. And it's a fantastic game. I'm not too hung up on games. There's games like I've said to you in the past I've bought, people hate, I love. And Days Gone, I don't think it was hated. I just think it was coming off of such an amazing run from the previous Sony games. But I also think they were nitpicky on that game a lot. The gaming industry itself, the media was very nitpicky. I don't know what for. Might be some political reasons on that with the studio. I'm not sure. But for me, it's a zombie game. I don't get bored of playing zombie games. That's like saying you get bored of playing fantasy games. You get bored of playing FIFA. You get bored of playing the same old stealth game. It's a game. At the end of the day, zombies, whatever the artistic impersonation is that, or impersonation that the studio want to give, I accept that. That's what they want to go for. You know, if you're not interested, you're not interested. And so, for me, coming off of Days Gone and going back to Death Stranding, We'll see on Death Stranding. I think.
I think I will get that game.
Oh, I'm definitely going to get it. That's not a question. I'm not saying that. I'm just thinking. Does he confuse people enough to make the interest, wither out of the game?
I think it's more of an intrigue.
Yeah, because
it's an intrigue.
That's to say, when you watch,
you like you said, you watch the trailer and you're like, what the hell have I just watched?
Watch two of the trailers and
exactly, what the hell you just watched? And you still think, I want to know more about that.
Yeah, exactly. He's got an amazing way, Hideo Kojima, and he's with all his games of being able to also keep you intrigued about the game as well. So, Death Stranding, November 8th, 2019. 3-year development time. Pretty quick.
It's pretty quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is pretty quick.
So, yeah, we're excited about that one. That's probably a definite first day purchase for us on that one. So, the next one we're going to be talking about is Final Fantasy VII Remake, which, again, I know you said you're not, but you've just watched it, and what do you honestly think now you've watched enough of the game? What do you think of that? It's a PS4 exclusive until we know otherwise. Now, I've said in the past that the moniker in 2015's E3 or 2014's E3 was, this game is coming to PS4 first. And I know there's been interviews with the developers of this game saying we haven't got the time to develop on all these different platforms to get this game out at a normal time period. So does that mean the 3 games, because this is a trilogy, I should imagine, they said they want to do this in 3 games, so the first game set just in Midgar itself. You're probably going to end just as Cloud comes off the highway at the end, being chased by Shinra, and then the second game will be the open world aspect of the game. The third game will probably be the final battle, with a little bit of open world thrown in there as well. Obviously, they're looking at new scenarios within Final Fantasy to keep it fresh, and there's definitely new story elements. You can see that in the trailer with Aerith and Cloud. When they touches her, there's all this smoke that comes off Aerith and Cloud, and you're like, this is new. So it's going to be fresh. Voice acting looks phenomenal. Game looks phenomenal. Combat looks phenomenal. This one E3's game of the show, interesting enough, beat out Cyberpunk, beat out all the other games there. And I know for a fact, having watched other YouTubers and other reactors to this, and people outside in my social spectrum, that really excited, even non-Final Fantasy fans are really excited about this. So you, being a non-Final Fantasy fan, or respecting the franchise, but not...
I definitely respect the franchise. Yeah.
But you're not the best. You're not the best sort of judge of these type of games. But this is a different game. So I'll let you go now. What do you think?
I like the look of it.
Yeah,
I do like the look of it. Like I said, I mean, the original Final Fantasies never interested me because it wasn't.
Was it the art
even
style?
Our RPGs back then didn't really interest me. It's only as they've developed more into what they are now.
More action, less ATB gorge. Take your time picking them, and like where you just pick moves and they just do it for you.
I'll go back now and play the old RPGs.
Yeah,
I do love them.
Yeah,
but back then I couldn't stand them.
Yeah,
it's very strange as you get older. You start to appreciate more.
Yeah, I mean, you rung me yesterday, and what was I playing? I was playing Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah,
and I was playing it because I hated that game back when it first came out on PS2. I loved the world, absolutely. I mean, it was Star Wars. It was Star Wars Final Fantasy. They literally ripped off Star Wars for Final Fantasy. Every single character was based off the Star Wars character, without a doubt. But I never liked the combat system, and I was playing it. I put about 6 hours into it yesterday, and I got to the just come out of the prison area. Just got arrested for something, and I just got through that area, and it just clicked with me because they use a gambit system, and again, it's not turn based, it's real time, but you set these gambits up within the world to do the game for you, and it's kind of like it's doing itself, and but it was made in that particular time. They were every Final Fantasy seems to go with a different battle system.
They all have a different vibe,
and this is no different.
Definitely.
And this is watching this game 100 times because this is probably my most anticipated game. I mean, I was crying when this game got announced. I mean, I'm 38-year-old bloke, but it means that much to me because it's the memories I have when I was 15 playing this game, 16, 15 playing this game for the first time in 97, 96 maybe, and it just brought back so many memories. And the idea of this game being split into 3 did annoy me at first, but I just thought, imagine making that game that was 3 discs back in the day. How much with the graphical standards that they've set with Final Fantasy 15, and you're like, nah, it just wouldn't work. It has to be 3 games, and that's why I'm excited now because I've seen the game now, and it's a real thing. I've actually seen it visually. You know the combat system's going to look... It looks ace. And obviously, shout out to Maximilian. He got to play it at Maximilian Dude and the guys over at Yo Video Games. I love them guys. And they got to play it. And if you go over there, I'm not going to tell you his reactions, but go and check him out and he'll give you a good update on the combat and how he felt about the game. And it's extremely positive, by the way. And this is coming from a guy who's a massive Final Fantasy fan, similar to me, tears in his eyes. So... And this just goes to show how important this game is to a lot of people, I think. And I think they're getting it right, which is really fascinating. So, again...
It's nice to see a studio doing things right, mate.
Exactly. And again, with Capcom, to a similar situation, they've just been on a bloody roll, Capcom, lately with their games. This is old. If the Japanese studios could come back to their old...
Go back to the old way, definitely,
And they are getting there now.
Yeah.
So, Square Enix giving us the Final Fantasy VIII remaster that people wanted. And they're giving it us. They're listening now, and the Japanese companies weren't really listening before. They were doing their own crap, and it was annoying a lot of people. Like Resident Evil franchise, they were sending that to the pits, and all of a sudden, same with Devil May Cry, and all of a sudden, bang, Monster Hunter, bang, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry 5. All these are fantastic games built on a new engine that they desperately needed. All they need to give me now is Lost Planet 3, and I'll be happy. But I think Monster Hunter's kind of like that sort of fix for me. We're going to hopefully do a series of Monster Hunter when Iceborne comes out, me and Al, and we're going to play that on stream, so you'll be able to laugh at us play that game terribly. But I just love that game. It's quickly becoming one of my favourite franchises now, Monster Hunter, because I didn't have a big history with Monster Hunter, but yep, definitely going to be playing that.
It's a funny one with me. I've got them all.
I've got a few.
I've got them all. I've never played any.
Yeah, I've got a few on PS2 and PSP, and I've got this one. And I bought Generations on the Switch last week, and that's ace. But I'm going to get the Switch. I'm going to trade my Switch docked in.
Tell a lie. Yeah, I haven't got that one though.
Yeah.
Because I sold my Switch.
Well, I got it in the sale. Yeah, I'm selling my Switch next week to go and get the light version when it comes out, because I never play mine docked anyway. So
no,
I don't need it. But yeah, going back to Final Fantasy 7. Now, on the exclusivity, I'm going to tell people that listening that may be Xbox players and PC players not to worry. My only worry with their exclusivity says it's coming to PS4 first. Does that mean the whole trilogy? Because then that is a long wait.
That is a long wait.
And then for me, I would recommend you buy a PS4 or PS5, because I would not want to wait 4 or 5 years for this series to come out in total. So I think what they might do...
I think it'd be a timed...
It's definitely timed,
exclusive.
But I've listed it as their endgame, exclusive endgame, because they haven't said any other word. The director... I think Microsoft put mistakenly, or one of their partners put something up saying it's coming to Microsoft, and they were quickly Square were like, no, it's not. This is a PS4 exclusive. That was their terminology, but I think it could come to PC, and every game after a year will come to PC first. So it'd be like PS4 year, then the next game, Final Fantasy Remake 2 Part 2, then a year, then the next game, and then another year. So you've got like a 3-year.
I know you need to have certain brands.
It is silly
within like Sony and Microsoft and whatnot.
They all do it. Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they all do it.
Stop. Just let all the games go on all the machines.
Especially with third party. I don't mind their first party doing this, because that makes sense. It's first party studios. They want to sell their consoles. That's what sells consoles. That's why Sony have dominated this generation. Their first party offerings compared to Microsoft have been on another level.
You go back to the previous
whether
gen
you want to hear that or not.
Is Mass Effect. When you had that come out, and then you had to wait on the Sony machine. And
I didn't think
Grand Theft Auto 4 as well, wasn't it? Wasn't that first on the 360, and then
no, the DLC was there, I believe.
Was it the DLC?
Yeah, I think the DLC was exclusive to the Microsoft 360 platform. But again, you just brought up a fantastic point. They all do it. Microsoft are just as guilty as Sony in doing these deals. In fact, Microsoft started this trend of in the 360 eras with the likes of Mass Effect and certain other games that were out there. It didn't bother me, because that's what I played mainly, was the 360. My PS3 was my exclusive machine.
That was my Blu-ray player.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. So for Final Fantasy 7, if it's not, I don't think it's going to be a tradition. This will see the light of day on other consoles. It's whether you, as a Final Fantasy fan, are patient enough to wait out the whole games.
Yeah.
Because when they say first to PlayStation, I believe they mean first to PlayStation. The whole series will be first to PlayStation. And could be a 3-year plan, because this will come to PlayStation 5. Because the PlayStation 5 will come out next year. That's why we're talking about their end game this week's podcast. The games that they have coming out now, some of these games will be on PlayStation 5. And Final Fantasy will be one of them. And so will Death Stranding. And so will with a game that we will be talking about later.
I've no doubt, mate. They'll release enhanced versions for the PS5 of the previous games, like God of War, and
unless the PS5 will be
Spider-Man, or we get a patch or something.
Yeah, as we've seen with Boost Mode. Unless the PS5 launches with an upscaler built into it for these games, where you don't need to have this particular feature.
PS4 is straight out of the box, isn't it? Backwards compatible on it with the PS5.
Yes, as far as I understand. They haven't said anything about PS3 or PS2. But I believe they're working on that.
I think they're going to add that later
They'd
on.
They'd be stupid, because obviously there's over 100 million PlayStation owners with a huge catalogue, most people. I have 300 games, well over. And so to say, I'm
getting on for a couple of hundred now.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to keep these... I mean, I have about 100 Xbox games. All of a sudden, I was late to that party because I sold my original Xbox One because I wasn't using it at the time. And then I bought another one, and then I bought an Xbox One X. Because the Xbox One X has been a game changer for me. I love that machine.
Brilliant machine.
It's a phenomenal machine.
I've said to you before, the internal design on that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Phenomenal.
Brilliant.
So yeah, Final Fantasy VII, doing everything right, ticking all the right boxes for I think a lot of fans who are worried. And especially for me, who was worried. To be honest, when certain other companies were connected to that, like CyberConnect, I was like, no, this is a no-go. So I'm glad that Square are actually doing this in-house. And the same guy, Tetsumura Nomura, I hope to butcher that name, but he's director on it again, who just come off of Kingdom Hearts 3 and things like that, which was a great game. I love Kingdom Hearts series. And so, Final Fantasy 7, again, I'm going to hang it back to you. So you're excited for that?
Yeah, I mean, what I like the look of is the combat.
Yeah.
That looked really good, really intuitive.
And for you...
And flashy, which is great, because I love flashy combat.
And for you... I don't think you know the story, so for you playing it for the first time, this is going to be...
Only the ending, because you ruined it for me.
Oh, yeah, well, you
20 years ago, so I don't really remember it.
You did watch me play it, though. I'm not going to... And I was halfway through, 40 minutes of a battle?
He'd never let me have a go.
Well, not that game. I mean, I just knew I was going to beat that. I was on that roll. Well, that final battle with Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII was... I only did it because I had the Knights of the Rain summon. And I had his Omni/Limit Break. It took me ages to get it. I've said this before. Because it was taking me 40 minutes and I was dying on the second phase when he used to cast Supernova on me. And I was like, let's just go and breed this gold chocobo. Get Knights of the Round. The first phase was over. If you had the initial cast in the second phase of the fight, it was over. You only had to hit that boss, another thing with Meteor or something like that. And then his third phase was just you and Cloud. And all you had to use then was his Limit Break, which you got anyway.
Yeah.
Which was his Omni/, and then you just killed him. So there's some spoilers for Final Fantasy VII. But to be fair, this game is more centered for people that have played the games. There's Final Fantasy VII has sold millions upon millions of copies. So I'm not saying anything that players don't know. And they'll change the ending. I think they'll definitely reimagine, keep it faithful, but reimagine the ending just slightly.
This is it, because it's not a remaster. This is a remake.
This is a remake.
So
there's new areas, new scenarios, new missions in this game.
Yeah.
This is quoted from Square themselves, saying that this is not a remaster. This is a remake. And you saw that in the first couple of seconds of the trailer with Aerith and Cloud touching each other, and you're like, what's all this black smoke coming off Aerith and Cloud? So you're going to get new situations, let's say, and new.
Which can't be a bad thing, really, if it expands on the story.
No. Okay, so before the last two games, the next one we're going to talk about is Wild, from Michel Ancel, which is Wild Street Studios.
I've never heard of this.
I was excited when this first came out. It's a PS4 exclusive. It was announced at Paris Games Week, I believe, in 2015-16. Michel Ancel, the creator from Beyond Good and Evil, and he is working right now on Beyond Good and Evil 2 that was shown off at last year's E3 and the previous E3. I ain't got a clue where this game is now in its development, because Sony are not coming out and saying anything. Michel Ancel and
maybe they've written it off.
Wild Sheep Studios are not coming out, so maybe. But I've included it here today because it is worth talking about, because it looked phenomenal. I had to show you the trailer today, and I could see your face looking and saying, "There's a whole lot of nothing in this open world." But what was in the trailer was interesting. The gameplay situations. You play a shaman. It's open world who can control animals. If you go check the game out now, it's called Wild. Put Wild PS4 in your search engine. Check the trailer. It's about 8 minutes, and there's deities, gods, cannibals, different animals to control. It got a lot of good, interesting hooks for gameplay scenarios, and I'm like, this is interesting. So, the demo shows you a shaman looking to cure one of his people because it's been poisoned, and obviously he takes control of a hawk or an eagle, catches a snake because you're going to use that snake later in the demo, calls forth a bear, rides that bear. So there's mounts in the game. There's within the open world. Obviously, they cut fast forward. Uses a hare to go and distract, to go and sneak into this band of cannibals who are close to the deity shrine. So he needs to move them out. So while he takes control of a rabbit or a hare, sneaks past all the guards, transforms into a flock of ravens. If this is, I can remember the sequence. The ravens then go and distract the cannibals. Your character then goes in with the bear and kills all the cannibals, which then gives you access to the deity shrine, which is a snake lady, a naked snake lady, which showing looked a hot lady. But she says, I hope you realise the implications of you asking me to do this for you. And then the demo cuts. So I'd recommend you go and watch it. For you people who are not familiar with the game, make your own minds up. But again, worries me a little bit because it's been radio silent on this game.
Yeah, I think it's gone, mate.
You reckon it's gone?
It's either gone or it's going for PS5.
Yeah, Michel Ancel is working on Beyond Good and Evil 2 actively as we speak. And he's, so this is his studio, Wild Sheep Studio, supported by Sony. This is their first game they announced back in the day at Paris Games Week. And I would be disappointed if this didn't see the light of day in some form. Because it looks phenomenally good.
Yeah.
And I mean that. I'm not just saying that.
I mean, they generally don't show off a game if it's going to get cancelled, do they? I mean, it doesn't happen very often.
I don't see. This is the tricky thing with this game. I don't know how far that is into development because they showed you during the trailer the bear swimming through water and there's these huge catfish and things like this. And there is a previous trailer which looked radically different to the one that I showed you today. If you go back another year. And it looked even more different, where, again, a female's coming out of a massive tree log, and the character looked different. The central character, the protagonist, looked different.
Yeah.
It looked bigger and bulkier, more barbaric, less shamanistic. And then this new trailer that was shown a couple of years ago, he obviously went a more mature direct art direction. And I'd be a bit disappointed if this didn't get an update this year. At Paris Games Week or Gamescom, because I know Sony's going to be at Paris Games Week and Gamescom. There's no PlayStation experience this week, as we said before. But I'd be a bit disappointed in Sony if they, didn't do anything with this game.
We've got PS5 details to come yet, haven't we? So they've got to. Well, I'll say they've got to. They haven't got to do anything, have they? But
no, but
it'd be nice to see something.
You could have hit the nail on the head there. Perhaps they're holding this back as a launch title for PlayStation 5.
That's what I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, because Beyond Good and Evil 2. That's a way out. That's next generation game.
That's PS5 game.
Yeah, PS5, Xbox Scarlet, whatever that, PC, definitely. So yeah, there's a quick indication. No release date for that one. Quick indication, a quick information on Wild, should I say? Just check it out yourself. See what you guys think. I'm not particularly familiar with that game, and we'll get into. We want to talk about two more things. One's speculation from a studio, but the last game we're going to talk about is the one you're most excited about, which is from Sucker Punch, which is Ghosts of Tsushima. Looks fantastic.
That's got everything, mate, for me.
Yeah, I mean,
there's elements of everything in that.
Yeah,
Witcher-esque.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Sucker Punch have only released one other game this gen, which is Second Son, which I liked. I enjoyed it. Wasn't nothing amazing. I love the world they created, Seattle. I thought there was a Sucker Punch in, again, really talented studio, Sly and Cooper series, things like that. So, really talented guys over there. Can't wait for this 4 or 5 years in development, similar to God of War, Sony Santa Monica. Looks like they're only going to release 1 or 2 games this gen, which I think, going into PS5, they could do with upping the output a little bit. But I think the engine, they've got their own new engine. I don't know what engine they're using on that, whether it's Unreal or Decima or their own in-house engine.
No idea, but it looks stunning.
Amazing.
The lighting effects as he comes over the brow of that hill.
I think this is going to be the swan song for the PlayStation 4, this game. This is going to be their send-off going into PS5. And I think this is going to be the one they're going to hold back till around summer next year, October next year, and say, look, take your time on this one. Because we've only ever seen 8-minute demo, and it was cleverly cut, that demo. And it looked great, graphically phenomenal. They have confirmed that the audio, for all you people out there worrying that, you know, the English audio is a bit off-putting with Japanese or Mongolian characters, there is going to be a full audio track with subtitles, which I will play that in. Again, recently going off a little bit onto Judgment, I did play Judgment with the English voiceover track, did a phenomenal job. But again, playing it through again with the Japanese voice, it just makes sense.
It's better,
it's just
better.
Yeah,
it is.
If you don't mind reading some subtitles during your gameplay sessions, it's fine. I mean, I'm used to it because I've watched anime and things like that over the years, and Japanese subtitles and Japanese films in general, so I'm kind of used to it. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, this is definitely one that's that did really well at the last couple of E3s, and people are really excited about it. Again, this is what I was disappointed with Sony this year, is E3, they should have been there to show this game. It's the biggest game convention on the planet at the moment still, so for me, you know, to not see that at all this year would be disappointed. Yeah. It really will. The same with the last game we're going to talk about, which we haven't spoke about, which is potentially another swan song for Sony. But Ghost of Tsushima, what do you think, mate? What do you really like about that game? It's got you excited, other than the fact that it's, you know, another open world by Sony.
Like I've said it many times, I'm sick, and I can. when you can take a samurai sword and gracefully chop someone's arm off,
yeah,
it's entertainment.
So the realism factor for you, yeah.
And it is. I like a game where the combat is realistic, and that looks. You know, you can parry, dodge, block. Yeah. Which I think that's where The Witcher failed a little bit. The Witcher 3.
Witcher 3's combat was awful. I ain't going to be.
I didn't like it.
No.
Luckily, it weren't the whole thing of the game.
No, sidestep, slice, sidestep, slice, sidestep, use a bit of magic. That was The Witcher. Exactly. It was very bare bones. Although it had the illusion of a lot of choice with its talent system. Come on, it was a bit of an XX or square or left click mouse, whatever you want, because I played all three.
Exactly. To me, The Witcher 2 combat was better.
Witcher 2 combat was way more strategic.
Loved it.
Yeah. But Ghost of Tsushima, there's a lot of grapple system. There's a grapple system, a rappel system as well, when he's infiltrating the base. With the
you got the mount.
You've got the horse mount. The music, phenomenal.
Beautiful music.
Yeah,
beautiful visuals.
Very Last Samurai-ish. Yeah. I mean, they said the world is the biggest they've ever created. It's a huge world. It's just
beautiful, mate.
So, again, really excited about Ghost of Tsushima. Again, no release date for that one.
It'd be nice to get a bit more on that.
Definitely this year, we need to know more about that. Definitely, because you give up so much anticipation when you show this game, and then to not say anything for 12 months potentially is disappointed by Sony.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that game deserves a stage. There are certain games that deserve a stage and an audience, not just a direct for 20 minutes. There's certain games that belong on a 20-minute YouTube video. But then there's certain games that require you to have a little bit more marketing and a little bit more of a push.
Could you imagine God of War being announced on a direct on YouTube?
No.
That you know, when we watched that reveal
with the live orchestra,
with the orchestra and everything, and we were just like, oh my God.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it just brings that hype to a new level, doesn't it?
Yeah. And
like you say, there are games that need a stage.
Yeah.
And deserve a stage.
Yeah, and I think Sucker Punch has been in development with this game now. Will be going on for 3 or 4.5, 5 years. They deserve an audience. The developers deserve their time to shine on the stage, like Cory Barlog did. The guys over at Days Gone did. The guys over at Last of Us 2, which we'll talk about in a minute. I don't want to talk too much about Last of Us 2 because I haven't watched anything a lot myself for fear of spoilers on that. But again, it's such an annoyance of me this year. This is why I praise Microsoft for being there. Although their conference was very samey from the previous year, they still showed up and brought the games.
Off. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you can't be arrogant enough to think that your presence was not needed there. So for me, I hope they show something this year at Paris Games Week. They have a conference, hour and a half conference at Paris Games Week or Gamescom, and show these games off with new updates to the engine and whatever, and show new stuff, because there are ninja elements. The first ever screenshot they showed is Ghost of Tsushima was way more ninja like than the previous trailer.
He's a samurai, isn't he?
He's a samurai. He's a kind of like a Ronin by the looks of things.
Yeah.
And judging by the first ever trailer, it looks like your families and village have been slaughtered, and you're a wandering samurai Ronin, basically, a masterless samurai. But in the trailer at the end, there was very much, when he puts that mask on, you look like a ninja rather than a samurai. You look like a hybrid. So I'm hoping you can there's these different talent trees, because like you said, the combat looked kind of stilted and rigid, very samurai-esque, Bushido blade-esque.
My kind of. Oh,
more slow-paced.
I can't wait, mate.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, there's a fighting game series. Where's my Bushido blade?
Yeah.
So yeah, can't wait. No release date for that yet. So, yeah. So we'll get on to the last game, which is The Last of Us 2. There's two more, actually, topics. Last of Us 2. We're not going to spend too much time on Last of Us 2 Part 2.
Yeah, I've not really seen much on that.
You haven't played the first one fully, so I don't want to spoil that too much. For those people listening, go and play Last of Us 2. Even if you're not too keen on those stuff, it warrants a playthrough. It's a great story, phenomenal story. It's legendary status in terms within the gaming industry, that game. Last of Us 2. I don't know a lot about this because I have purposely avoided spoilers on this. I've watched the E3 once and I've tried to suck that out of my brain because I just don't want to be spoiled on this, because the first game was such an emotional ride. Again, the first game was not a stellar game in terms of gameplay and things like that. It didn't do anything, but the story did set it apart phenomenally well. And I think in this game, there is rumours that it's a 2019 release, which I do find hard to believe, especially with Death Stranding being in November. Why would you have two of your top tier games coming around the same time? You're just going to suffocate the sales. So this is a 2020 game. So I think 2019 is definitely, unless it's a summer release. Got Gamescom in August, Paris Games Week in September, and they announced it on stage. It's coming on the end of October as a Halloween-esque game, because there is horror in that game. The themes are more.
Maybe
the themes are the themes of Last of Us 2 seem to be going in a more human direction rather than, zombie-esque apocalypse direction. Looks like the main antagonists of this particular game are going to be the humans more so. So, again, for you guys out there, I'm not going to talk about this too much, hence why it's not on the thumbnail, because I didn't really want to talk about it that much, but it is, again, probably Sony's, this and Ghost of Tsushima swan song to the PlayStation, going into the PlayStation 5. And so, are you interested in playing this one? It's from Naughty Dog, so
I've got to play the first one first.
You do need to sit down. Perhaps we could play that together on a live stream Switch. You play it, I'll sit and watch, because I could watch someone play that again.
Yeah.
So we might revisit that together around September when we come back and kind of, like, as we say, rebrand and relaunch the channel in a different way. And then there's some exciting stuff coming, some more equipment and things like that coming, so to give you guys a better experience within our channel. And so, I think The Last of Us 2, it's a no-brainer. It's going to sell a shed load. And it's going to come out, hopefully they hit it out the park. Neil Druckmann's on his own for this one. He had Bruce Straley, I think it was. He quit the studio, I think, or has had time off to replenish. So Neil Druckmann's on his own with this one, so it's all on Neil.
Yeah.
Neil's a talented guy, so I'm excited to see what he brings himself without the other voice in his ear telling him no. I suppose he's probably got help, obviously. He's probably got opinions within the studio. So, like Corey had, if you watch the God of War documentary, highly recommend watching that documentary if you want to sit down and see how a game's made. Very emotional. Really interesting. Creating Kratos, I think it's called. It's an hour and 20 minutes. It's worth your time. It gives a good insight to how these games, the stress of how these games are made. And I think this is another one that's up there in terms of the stress, which will be Last of Us 2 for a lot, because the first game was such a phenomenal success.
I don't think any game made doesn't, they all look like they're stressed,
which
developers.
Angers me with gamers' entitlement to a little bit, because no studio goes out there to make a shite game. No one does. They go out of there to make the best game they possibly can within the budget, within the time frame they're given. There are some awful games out there that you can tell have had very little, but no mid-developer, AAA developer or independent developer goes out of his way to make a rubbish game. They just don't. It's not worth their career, not worth their not worth their career suicide, developer suicide work, because in today's spectrum, gamers are quick to...
I think it's more the pressure from the publishers now, isn't it? Just to get the game done and get it out.
But yeah,
it's a shame.
Yeah, so Last of Us 2 might be one for the stream. Definitely. I kind of want to play that my own personal way first because it's such a personal game, Last of Us. And I think playing some of these games requires you to play them themselves. I know it's kind of like the thing today to go and watch a streamer play these games from start to finish because you're more or less watching the streamer. And we said this about The Witcher. I'd rather you play that game and then watch me play it so you get the context.
Yeah.
Of everything that's going on that I'm about to experience would be interesting. I think YouTube definitely needs to do something about the walkthroughs and the walkplays because I think these developers, crank for 4 years, 5 years for a game to watch someone play it online. And I'm not saying it's the industry as it is at the moment. People like watching. It's the way it is. It's a social spectrum at the moment. People like watching people play games, And the feedback I've had with this is that people like seeing people on the channel, which is something we're going to do in the future in the next couple of months. We will be on. You will see me and Alex a lot more. Well, 100% more. You will see us talk and you'll see us interact. So, and I get it. It's the whole reality lifestyle that people live in now that we weren't brought up on, but it's something we've got to adapt to. So again, we'll go back onto The Last of Us 2. No release date yet. Speculation is to 2019, but I'm going to say 2020. And the last game, not a game really, but there is another game yet to be announced from Blue Point Games. Industry insiders all know this game's coming. Colin Moriarty, a couple of others out there that have since tweeted that this game is coming. And I'm just going to put it out there. It's Demon's Souls. It's a remake of Demon's Souls. The online... Sony shut down the online service to Demon's Souls a couple of months ago, I believe. They're not going to shut down the service to one of the most popular games still played today. There's a new remaster or remake coming for Demon's Souls, and I think that's going to be a 2019-2020 release. Again, another swan song potential for the PlayStation, Sony PS4 Endgame, quote-unquote, who's labelled it. And I just think that it makes sense. It's one of the most popular games. Sony owns that IP.
Yeah.
And it's the originator to the Dark Souls phenomena. And Blue Point coming off of Shadow of Colossus, such a huge success for them. Phenomenal team there.
They do a good job.
And I believe Sony are going to swallow these guys up, Blue Point, and give them their free reign next gen. Say, create something. You've proven that you can create an existing IP, take it in your own direction with the visuals and stuff. It's time, you fly the nest and create your own under our umbrella of first party studios. And so again, really excited about that. Just a quick one there for that. I believe it's. Did you believe anything else? Did you got an idea yourself what they could be working on, knowing their caliber?
There's so many from the PS2 days they could work on.
Yep.
So many.
What would you like personally?
Well, you said one earlier, Bushido. I'd love to see that come back.
Bushido Blade, yeah. Is there anything else you could think of that they could, come back? You got Jak and Daxter.
Jak and Daxter.
I
don't know. They seem to be on the Ratchet and Clank.
Well, that's Insomniac.
Same sort of...
It's just similar, but I think if they were to do it in a different way, a more, dare I say it, a more mature way, Jak and Daxter, like make Jak and Daxter, I don't know, sort of like a Firefly-esque video game. And I mean, like, keep the visuals, keep him like Jak and Daxter,
that'd be a game.
but mature, like Uncharted graphics.
Game.
Yeah, Firefly, yeah.
Give us a second season or give us a game.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Josh Whedon's given up on that. But anyway, guys, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and we will see you not next week because Alex is on holiday. I might do a few news updates next week, depending on if there's any juicy tidbits of news come out. If not, it will be the episode 6 will follow the following week, go back to normal broadcasting. So just bear with us because Alex is away for a week and
got to treat the kids.
Got to take care of those kids and the missus. And so yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thanks for continuing to support the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, like we've said, it helps us out, especially if you can subscribe to the channel. That would be really good. And yeah, we will see you guys later. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.